Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Vetsplanation. I am your host, Dr. Sugarman. I'm really excited. We have really different guests on today, so I'm excited to talk to you guys. This is Dave and Stephanie from DNA is Love, something I had never heard of before until I was on another podcast for somebody who does hospice, and we were talking about it, and I was so excited to hear about this. I won't give it away yet, but I'm going to have you guys both introduce yourself first, if that's okay.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for having us on the program. We love this
Yeah.
and we love the chance to talk to you and talk about what we're doing. So,
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Dave Latora. I'm one of the co owners along with Stephanie. And my background is science all the way, molecular biology. I've been to school with a bachelor's biochem, a master's in microbiology. I have a PhD in molecular biology. I worked in the
Well,
corporate.
having gone through all of that, that's really impressive.
Oh, thank you. Thank you much. Yeah, I know I just zipped through, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of work and all that. And actually, it's interesting because my PhD work led into what we're doing, but it was 20 years later. So that's a bit of a story. Maybe we can get to that later on and how this all happened.
Okay.
But so I have a strong science background. I worked in the corporate world for a couple decades, supporting labs all over the country in different types of more like clinical things, diagnostic things. I have a background in human identification, so kind of paternity and other relationship testing. I have done that a lot,
Okay.
even doing some other scientific things too. So I got a strong science background.
Nice. Perfect. And Stephanie, what's your background?
Yeah, I am Stephanie Ford. I am co-owner of DNA is Love. I have been in the caregiving field most of my life. I had a mom who had polio. So I think early on, I just saw a need for helping those who need a little extra help. And so I think I've always had the heart to do that. I went to school for early childhood education, but then ended up getting into caregiving and hospice. I spent 5 years over in Beijing, China. And while living
Wow.
over there, yeah, I was able to volunteer in the orphanage. And so that furthered my love for helping people. And so after I came back to the States, I got into the hospice side of caregiving and have spent the last 10 years doing that. And so when Dave and I were talking about possible business ideas, I just thought it was so neat if we could bring the heart and the science together, like a way to remember the people and the pets in our lives who have made such a difference. And I think
Yeah.
over the years, I just saw the stories of these people going through really hard things and just
Mhm.
thought, oh, we need to find a way to remember and share the stories. So I think
Yeah.
that's where my passion lies, is really the stories behind all of it and just remembering the people and the pets that we love. And yeah, so I have a cat who I've had for 13 years, Yeti. He's my
I saw that. Yes. I
and I,
love the name.
yeah, he totally looks like a Yeti. We were able to preserve his DNA, so I carry that with me.
Oh, cool.
I have 3 children, and yeah, so in my free time, I just love being outside, and I have taken up bird watching.
Nice.
So that's been a super fun hobby.
I'm assuming you have your kids' DNA as well, not just the
I
cats.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay, cat and then the
Yeah.
kid.
I was like, how important is this cat?
Yeah,
Is it more
Yeah,
right.
important than the
Totally.
kids? Yeah.
Jack
Yeah,
Miller.
wearing a pendant with I have my 2 daughters in here, and they just live out of
Very
state.
nice.
That's one thing, is to feel them close when you're doing things, you're around the house, you're with them, you're out on a hike, you're in nature.
Mhm.
You can feel that extra bond because you've got a living part of them with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's so cool. All right. So let's talk about DNA is Love now. So, what exactly do you guys do?
We give people a chance to preserve samples, but not just
Mhm.
any samples, like a DNA sample primarily is what we're working with. And we make it very easy for people, like just really a simple cheek swab collection for people. And then we take that sample that we get, we mail the samples back and forth. And then in the laboratory here that I've got set up, we actually extract the DNA from each person's or pet's sample. I go ahead and confirm that each sample worked, so that DNA is actually extracted and how much we actually get from each extraction, which is, you know, it's just a really good feeling to make sure the process works, right? If somebody didn't get elect a
Yeah.
sample or something, we want to make sure what we're doing, because that's one thing about DNA is really to the outsider or the people who are going to get the product back, it's pretty invisible. So you
Right.
really have to understand what we're doing and trust the process. So we want to make everything as transparent, as open, as confirmed as possible. So then we'll take the DNA that's confirmed and we'll actually put it into the jewelry item that you would pick out online. And we have an online shopping. Stephanie does the engraving, making it all
Oh, very
beautiful and
cool.
packaged and things like that. So we really personalize
Yeah.
it. And the other thing that's cool is we can get creative with it. People can mix different samples together from, say, two children or two pets, or family members. We have a picture frame too on top of jewelry that you wear and things. So that's the idea behind it from the science side. And maybe Stephanie wants to talk about the other side of it.
Yeah.
The heart side of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know. And so, yes, we want to create a living reminder of someone in your life. And that was really the hope when we started this business. And I think coming into it from my background of just seeing how important it is to carry on the legacy and the reminders of the people who have made such a difference. And so I have a passion for stories. And so there's a section on our website that we can share about these people. And I think when you're with someone at the end of life, you just realize, oh, the world needs to know who you are. You
Yeah.
are this amazing, strong fighter who has done so much good. And so that is my hope. And whether living or past, when I think we all have stories of really incredible people and pets in our lives. And so it's been really neat to work on this, work on the business, and then work with good people who are wanting to remember their loved ones. And so we've had some really cool stories. We've done horse DNA
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah. That was very cool. Yeah.
and it was neat because we weren't able to get it the first time. And so we redid the
Oh my
swap.
gosh. They have such giant cheeks. I would have
Yeah,
thought you would have gotten so much.
right,
Yeah.
you would think. And so that's what I love about our process
Mm.
is that we're able to confirm that we were able to get the DNA. And I just love that it's a living blueprint. It is literally a one of a kind gift
Yeah.
and literally. And so that's what I love. It's just a living reminder of someone in your life.
I feel like we get this so much that people have your heart pet, that pet that's you've been really, really bonded to, and people want to be able to cherish that. I do, unfortunately, a lot of euthanasias,
Mhm.
and a lot of times people will get like a hair sample back that's going to degrade. So you're going to get a paw print, but it's not quite the same as touching their paw. You're going to get their ashes back, but it's just not quite the same as having like a living sample of them. So I thought this was a really cool process to be able to keep that living sample for them.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we really
Yeah.
appreciate that. We've gotten the same feedback, Tyler. A lot of people are closer and bonded with their pets than they are family members, and unfortunately,
Yeah.
or something. But they mean so much. And even in Stephanie's family, there she's got a brother who's had a number of dogs, and just it's just a passion in their life, him and his spouse's life. They mean so
Right.
much to people. And then we've heard that so many times. Oh, I wish you'd heard about you guys a while ago. We had this precious pet that just passed away, right? It's an opportunity to catch a sample while you can. And that's the other nice thing about DNA is, like we say, we make it extremely easy to do a sample and collect it versus something like cremation ashes, where obviously you've got to wait for someone to pass and then it just
Yeah.
doesn't have the same feeling and doesn't have the same energy with it in our
Right.
experience.
Exactly. And even with the ashes, most of the time, with most things that you can make, it's only a very small amount of the ashes that you use. It's not like all of the ashes, which a lot of people don't know.
Mhm.
But it was very easy. So I did do your guys' process, right? So
Yeah.
I have two kids who are not very easy to get samples from because they assume that I'm going to do a COVID test on them.
Mm.
So
Oh, yes.
but it was very, very easy to be able to get their samples and be able to send it in. And you guys can email me back and confirm that's exactly that you got both samples. It was a very, very easy process.
And that's so neat. And it was really neat to work on your kids, Orin and Abigail. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was really, really neat. We were able to get, I think, 570
Mhm.
from Orin and 540 nanograms from Abigail. And what's neat about DNA, it just takes 1 nanogram to get the full blueprint.
Wow.
And so to be able to preserve those amounts and then just hold them for years. And
Mhm.
that's what I love about DNA is that it's so stable. It lasts for hundreds and hundreds of years. There's stories of thousands and thousands of years old, but that's what I love about our process is that we're able to preserve it in a way where you will have it for a
Very
life.
cool. Yeah, I was gonna ask about that, like how long the DNA stays. Does it degrade? And do you have to add anything to it to keep it stable, or is it just stable?
It's stable in part because, well, one is just the chemistry of it, right? Part of it's environmental, but also we're preserving the sample in the perfect solution. Like it's pristine, clean DNA that's also preserved in a buffer with salt and EDTA tris to get
Mhm.
in the weeds with you. But so it's
Yeah.
really stable. And then we do put it into the jewelry in a liquid form. But if it would dry down in there, the DNA is still going to be preserved. Like it's as Stephanie mentioned there, they have ancient samples of DNA and much worse shape than this, but we're offering that opportunity for people, plenty of it for testing too. Like we're for entertainment purposes and keepsake memorial primarily, but there is utility in this down the road. If the field of genetics is really in the
Yeah.
history, DNA has only been around for 80 some years. So who knows where
Right.
we're heading with this field?
Yeah. I actually listen to a lot of crime podcasts, and
Mhm.
so I hear a lot about all the really cool things that happen,
For sure.
that are coming up with DNA. Yeah. My other question was gonna be, so I know you've done a horse and dogs, and I believe I've seen cats on there too. Are
Mhm.
there other animals you can do as well? Can you do like reptiles and birds?
Everything living like that will have a
Mhm.
sample. Right now, those are the primary pets we've been dealing with are cats, dogs, horses. And so I've got PCR primers that I use to confirm from mammals,
Mhm.
primates, and things. But so we could go a little further if somebody has a really unusual sample. But
Mhm.
so far, we haven't been there. But scientifically, yeah, it's all there for us. But primarily, we're working with the regular list of pets.
Yeah. I always have some sort of reptile,
Okay.
so I feel to me that's a regular
Right.
list of pets, but
True.
Oh, I
True.
love
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
We'll give it a try. We will do it.
Right? My other question too is gonna be, I know this from reading it on your guys' website, but what do you guys do with the DNA afterwards? Is it not put into a database? It's
Right.
you don't store it or anything, correct?
That's correct, Tyler. We don't do
Mhm.
any data at all with the DNA. I extract the DNA, preserve it,
Mhm.
put it into the jewelry, and then just following biosafety standards would get rid of any excess on a tube or a tip, but everything possible that we can put into the product, we put into the product. There's no leftover cast. There's no security. There's no account login, password access like that. So I do know some of the other people are a little leery with DNA, right? It's the most personal
Right.
information they have. We're very transparent. We've got our privacy and security policy on there, but we're just doing this to basically we're giving the opportunity, turning around the sample from a swab into DNA and back into people's product and as easily as possible for them. Nothing from what we're doing here is ever retained or used beyond that.
Nice. And then
Mhm.
you guys do a certificate with it too, right?
Yes, yes. We do a certificate of authenticity. And so once Dave's confirmed the amount by PCR, I'm able to go in and create just to show you how many nanograms we got. And like
Mhm.
I said, we were fortunate. I think for the horse, we got maybe 6 nanograms. So it wasn't as
Wow.
many the human. I know, which surprised me.
Yeah, it's so
Like,
surprising. Yeah.
yes. And so I'm always fascinated by what we get. And then my
Yeah.
cat, I think, had 600 nanogram.
Wow.
Yes, so it's just a way to confirm with you that, yes, we did this. This is what we were
Mhm.
able to get and then confirm it. And
Mhm.
yes, you get a certificate and then your product as well.
And to just go a
And
little
and
deeper on that
and
too, every sample has a little
yeah.
bit of different complexity, and that's just the environment that's, that you're swabbing a cheek sample and there's other solutions and
Mhm.
things. And so, and as Stephanie mentioned, PCR is typically done with really 1 nanogram of DNA. Sequencing takes a little bit more, but we're continuing to optimize, but we got a very elegant, very nice we extract the DNA. We use a magnetic separation technology. Once we break open the cells and then we capture it onto these DNA magnetic beads and then we wash solution. And then at the end of the process, we let it go off the beads. So we do a really nice job. It's really pure, really top quality samples that we're getting now.
So how do you confirm that you have the DNA? Like, how do you know for sure
Yes.
after
So
all
I
that?
just mentioned we use a process called PCR. It's polymerase chain reaction. A lot of people have heard of it from COVID testing, right? Basically, you're
Yes.
amplifying a little tiny piece of DNA of all the DNA that's there. That's just diagnostic for what you're looking for. So in our case, it's either human or a cat or a dog. There's some specific primers for each species that were in the literature and we've done our homework and we know. So, and we've tested it out thoroughly. So with that process, we get the DNA and then I'll run every sample with this PCR to confirm that we want to make sure it's present, first of all, like that it worked,
Mhm.
the extraction worked. And again, somebody could have just not understood the instructions on how to swab or whatever happens. So we confirm each one. And then we also can tell the amount. We run some standards. You can run DNA standards of known amounts to compare it to. So that's how we can tell how much that we get out of there. And then once that's all good to go, we put it into the product and package it up and get it back on its way.
I can imagine probably the horse, you probably got a lot of the food product as well, since they just eat all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. It was just a little dirtier in the tube.
exactly.
Yeah. But if we don't get a sample on the first time, we will ship
Mhm,
you another collection kit because we really do want to make sure this is
mhm,
done accurately and right. And so, yeah, however many times it takes, we will get that sample.
Yeah. And it's
nice.
rare that we don't get it to work the first time, Tyler, too. And even like you said, your kids are a little tough to sample from. You did a great
Yeah.
job.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
it's really straightforward. And so that is one thing that's cool is we've made it easy for people. So this idea for DNA is love goes back a couple of decades, right? And it really started. I was doing my graduate research on DNA markers for identification to identify people. And I needed
Mhm,
some samples to test that were like related. So where do you go? You're a scientist, you go to your own family, right? And at a
right.
family reunion we got samples. And back in the day, this was 20 something years ago, my mom was a nurse. And so she actually took a little blood sample from my parents, my brothers and sisters, and I, with the image grief on that over time. And I
Nice.
did that and worked up these markers. And that led to the idea of, okay, I have my family's DNA. What can I do with this? Okay, I want to combine it. I want to put it into something and preserve it and hold on to it. But in the meantime, technology's evolved, right? And now from just a simple cheek swab, so there's no sticks, no pricks, no finger pricks, just no blood
Yeah.
collection, just really easy. And you went through it. Your kids, they did a great job. You did a good job with them.
Yeah. I'm so glad we only had to do a cheek swab
Right.
and not any blood.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. We would not have gotten that sample. I would have gotten you a dog blood much easier. So
Yeah.
I think the cool story behind that, though, is Dave did that how many years ago did you take
It
your
was 20 years ago, if not 20 something
with
years
your
ago.
family
Yeah.
sample? And then as we were working on the business, Dave had his DNA samples on these sheets of
Mhm.
paper, and we were able to rehydrate and bring it back to life
Wow.
and confirm it all these years later. And so Dave was able to combine it into one of our pieces of jewelry. So he has his parents, even though they've
So
been,
cool.
which is really
Yeah.
cool to be able to
Hmm.
hold on to that and just have that reminder always and that living part of them.
Right.
Really
Yeah.
neat.
I know. So you're wearing one, Stephanie. I can see.
Mm,
I
Dave, I
am.
think I can see
yeah.
yours in there as well,
Yep.
right? Yep.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys have the pendants. I know you have the infinity one.
Hmm.
You said you have the picture frame, right?
Yes.
What else do you guys use?
So we
I
have
just
some
feel like
vials
there
that,
was something else. Oh yeah,
yeah,
the
our
vials. Yeah.
vials that you can put DNA into.
Mhm,
The picture frame is neat because a lot of people don't wear jewelry. So
mhm.
for my dearest friend, whom I've known since kindergarten, she was so excited and wanted her kids' samples in a picture frame because she's not into the jewelry thing.
Yeah.
And so it was really such an honor to do that for her and her children and then confirm that and then give her this as a gift. And it is so powerful. And I didn't realize until I watched the whole process happen. I watched my cat's process go through and that was really neat. And then I was also able to get my dad's, which was a long story, but he ended up in ICU unexpectedly. And so I
Yeah.
immediately went out to where he was and was able to get a swab in the ICU and have his sample preserved. And so I wear my dad's pendant as well, and how grateful I am that I was able to get that. Because you just never know, and I think that's what I've learned over the years in my experience in caregiving and hospice is you just don't know
Yeah.
what tomorrow brings, and so this is such a neat way just to hold on to someone you love.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Tyler, just
It's definitely
expand for
amazing.
just one sec on the picture frame, right? So what we do is we,
Hmm.
had to source all these products, right? There's actually a vial and it comes out of the frame a little bit and then it's magnetically attached. So we put the DNA sample into the
Oh,
vial,
cool.
seal it up,
Mhm.
and then it goes
Yeah.
back into the frame. But we also will get people to just send us their photo. We'll print it out, put it in the frame form. And I mean, it makes it, like Stephanie said, like a one of a kind, once in a lifetime product. I almost think of it, we're almost giving people a service, like giving them an opportunity to preserve these samples of people that normally they wouldn't have a chance to have. And like you say, once they're gone, once a loved pet is passed, you're missing and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mhm.
When you put it into the jewelry, is it in some sort of little vial as well, or is it just like in a hole in the jewelry?
So it's in a hole in the jewelry. So each of our pieces you just unscrew, and then Dave's able to pipette in the DNA.
Got it.
And so what we recommend is that you don't open it back up just because A, you don't want it to spill out, and B, you don't want to contaminate anything. And so it is there. And then, but we also have the option to add the extra vial that you can just hold on to for safekeeping, just as peace of mind.
Very nice. It's
Yeah.
such a
Mhm.
cool idea.
Just to add to, yeah, we also have the
Yeah.
option to get an extra, just, we have a couple of different kind of vials. Like one is a amber vial, another is just a glass vial. And the thing with the storage in the vial is really for long term preservation. The best way to store DNA is to dry it down onto a clean, sterile surface, which is the bottom of a
Mhm.
vial. So for people that really want to hang on to something for 50, 100 years, we have that
Yeah.
and we would dry it down on there. It would just stay preserved forever, basically. And then you would just rehydrate it with some molecular water when the time is to come test it. And like we say, there could be so much more coming in the future, diagnostic tests and whatever,
Mhm.
something with your family inheritance, your grandparents. So there is definitely a lot of utility to what we're offering to beyond just the kind of the
Yeah.
emotional piece to it.
Yeah. How cool. Do you guys have anything else you wanted to add about this?
We're excited, and we're excited
Yeah.
to grow, and we do have the option on our website for cremation ashes because we do recognize that not everyone is able to get
Mhm.
DNA, and we saw a need, and so we've been able to do some products for people that have been really dear. I think the picture frame, I did one for my brother who's had 6
Mhm.
dogs who are his life over
Aw.
family. I trust
Yeah.
and I was able to put their pictures, all 6 of them on the frame, and then was
Mhm.
able to help him fill the the vial with their ashes, and that was so
Very cool.
meaningful, and he just cried when he opened the gift because it meant so much, and so
Aw.
they have a dog now that we were able to get the DNA. She's been a
Yeah.
trooper. She was our test dog for all of this, and so he's able to have her DNA with him, and he's so grateful. He said, "This means so much," and I think that's the beautiful part of it is just hearing people say, "The peace of mind it gives me when I look at this is huge,"
Mhm.
and
Right.
that's what we wanna build, is just creating connection between our family members, between pets, friends, whoever has made a difference in your life. Just hold
Yeah.
on.
How did you guys come up with the name real quick?
Yeah, that was a process. We went all over.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We had different options, but I think one time we were out hiking on a business meeting and we thought DNA is love. It literally is.
Mhm.
It's what ties us together for generations. And I think I have a huge passion for family history. I had a mother who recorded all of our family histories, and I realized, oh, I carry the DNA of
Mhm.
these incredible people who lived hundreds of years ago and
Yeah.
keep that legacy going. And how cool it is that I literally carry a part of them with
Yeah.
and and that's what I love about this idea that DNA is love. It's what ties us to each other, we're so much more alike than we are different. That's what I love of just realizing we really are. We're 99.9% the same. And
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I love is just, oh, we are the same. And we have that 0.1% variation that makes us so unique. And that's
Yeah.
what I hope people can carry with them. And that's what we would love to build.
Yeah, I would just
Very
add,
cool.
Colin, we had it down to a couple names, right? It's like when you're naming your kids, right? You have it down. Oh,
Yes.
so I think it was DNA is forever, and then DNA is love. And so we thought, checked it out with friends and family, and then it really is. It's cool how it came together because sort of it is Stephanie and I, different backgrounds coming together to bring this thing to life. I'm the DNA
Mhm.
part, she's the love, the heart part. So having those
Yeah.
two things together is cool. And then also you asked like to summarize, I would just first of all, I want to thank you for having us on and letting us do this. I
Yeah.
think our biggest challenge so far has been just getting the word out there and explaining to people we are we're quite different than anything people have heard
Mhm.
about. So all these are really good opportunities to help us get our message out, spread the word, explain to people what we're doing. And we really enjoy, we really thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. And also on the other side, we thank you for ordering and believing in what we're doing, trusting
Yeah.
us. And we hope you're going to really get a lot of joy and happiness with your sample and all from there.
Yeah. Thank
I,
you. Yeah. I'm really excited about it. And like I said, I just, for having done so many euthanasias, I just know that there's only so many things you can do with the ashes, but it's just so, just, I don't know. There's just a different connection
mm,
when you just have something that's a living piece of them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you guys. I really, really appreciate you guys coming on and just explaining everything to us. And I'm hoping that you'll get so many more people doing this because I think it is just such a huge service.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate that.
Of course.
Mhm.
Thank you
Yeah.
guys. All right, everybody. As always, make sure to keep your pets happy, healthy, and safe. Thank you guys.